Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be figuring out where our anxiety actually does come from. So, I've put together a little bit of a whiteboard here, a little vision board, and we're going to go in depth of the biology and the psychology of what happens and where your anxiety stems from. And so, anxiety basically comes from a sense of unknowing of the future, unknowing what's going to happen to you. There could be a possibility of bad. And so when this anxiety does kick in, your body gives you this physical feeling of uneasiness by activating a certain part of your nervous system. And so you have two parts of your nervous system. You have your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest. This is when your body is at ease, it's surrounded by people that you find friendly, you're secure, you're comfortable. But in those situations, it can even be like a certain sentence or a certain moment in an interaction in which you feel safe. But in those certain moments, something called the sympathetic nervous system starts to activate. It starts to override your body. And in that case, this is your flight or fight. This is your life or death self-preservation mode of your body. Basically telling you, hey, watch out, something dangerous is here or it's coming. I'm just letting you know that you could be in danger because you could die. And so how our brain perceives these dangers is when this sympathetic nervous system will kick in. And so a giant danger may kick in an insane amount of nervousness, of anxiety inside of you, but that's perceived on how your brain is looking at it. So if it's looking at like a bear or a tiger, a bear, these are not natural things that humans have anxiety of. If you put a baby next to a tiger, a baby next to a bear, he's not going to automatically start crying. He's going to like touch the bear and feel fuzziness. Only do we know the bear, the tiger, or things we're supposed to get nervous around is because of stories that we are told and experiences that we have seen or gone through ourselves. And so through stories, our bodies feel danger of uneasiness the person in the story had. And so our sympathetic nervous system actually activates as if it was in that situation. And so if I was telling a story about how I went to the forest and I saw this orange, white, black striped cat, and it gnarled at me with its giant teeth, and it looked super dangerous, and I saw it even kill my friend, and I tell that in a story, and I tell that to the other people in my village who are there. Well, their bodies, by just hearing the description of what I went through, their sympathetic nervous system is going to activate to a degree. If they're emotionally bonding with us, they can feel the emotion coming off me. And what's going to happen is next time they're in that scenario, their body is going to know already, oh, wait a minute, this is kind of like that story, I could be in danger here. And so through stories, through experiences, through emotions, do we condition ourselves to link, okay, anxiety with this type of thing. And so that's why tigers and bears and anything else like that are learned anxiety things. They're not natural. And so we have our nerves, and these go out through all our entire body. But everything that's visual, that's audible, those are coming in through our eyes, our ears. Those are getting processed through the brain for what the meaning of those are, and then that process, the emotion that you feel, is getting spread out through your nervous system. And so there's something in your brain called the amygdala, and this is a little tiny part right here, and basically this is part of the brain that deals with processing, that gives emotional events meaning to them. And so it gets bigger with fear. It has a negative bias towards bad things. And so as a human, your whole thing, as an animal, your whole thing is to not die, to live. And so if you go towards prosperity, life, more joy, yes, that's good, but you can always get more. If you go towards death or not living anymore, that can only happen once. And so your brain has always a more negative bias to looking on the bad things of sides to push you away from that, to be like, hey, this is bad, this is dangerous, you could die here, watch out. And so the more emotional events were, the more the amygdala remembers the events that trigger that emotion. So if you ever, at your job, maybe at your school, at your work, around your family, around friends, anything like that. You feel things like this: social judgment, fear of anxiety, expressing, overthinking, any of these things inside of your head. Well, you're most likely going through some type of anxiety, some type of internal conflict in your body, and you'll be experiencing maybe some of these physical symptoms: sweating, heavy breaths, shallow breaths. Your muscles are tense, your body feels tense, you feel a bit uneasy, you don't feel relaxed. Well, when that happens, you're in a sympathetic nervous system state. And in the body, certain things are going to happen. You're not going to be in this rest and digest. Your, again, body is going to tense up. You're going to have a lot of cortisol running through your body. And this activates the nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system, by the HPA axis. And we don't have to go super in depth into this. And so you will get stress. You will become hypervigilant to the things around you. Your senses will increase. But where does this come from? And so just like over here, where stories trigger our sympathetic nervous system, our amygdala processes these events, puts the emotion next to the events. And so if an event happens when you were a kid, per se, and your parents were yelling at you, without you being able to, connect or reason, you don't know why it's happening, and it just feels so unfair. Well, what's the input of that is basically, parents are yelling at me, so parents yell, they get mad, parents yell, parents mad, parents insulting, and this can be a whole bunch of things, right? It can be physical, emotional abuse, shaming, insults, guilting, manipulation. But when it's coming from your parents, the person that you should be able to trust the most, basically what it says to your brain and what happens to your amygdala over the course of how many times this could or does happen is it says to yourself, it says to your brain, it says to your body, I can't be myself because always I could get yelled at. I can't express myself properly because last time I did it, I got yelled at a lot. And so what this may lead to is when these arguments of conflict does come up, when someone does say something about you, your past event was, okay, I'm going to get yelled at, I'm going to get hit, this is not going to end well, it's going to be more painful. And so what happens, your flight activates, your sympathetic nervous system literally activates in that situation, and you could start becoming hostile, and so you may get agitated very quickly, triggered very quickly, or you just may kind of shut down. You may be more in the flight mode and just run away from those problems. Same thing with withholding love from people and you're feeling very isolated. You learn that, hey, me being myself around others usually ends in pain, so I'm just going to shut down my emotions. People don't really understand me anyway, so I'm just going to shut down my emotions, and I'm not going to do anything about that. And again, that activates the sympathetic nervous system, but it activates the flight response, and even to a certain degree, it could activate the freeze response. And in the freeze response, to one level above that, and a lot of dissociation happens. And so, let's just take it step by step. If I'm chilling at my house, maybe I'm playing a video game, maybe I'm reading a book, maybe I'm watching a TV, I'm going to be in my parasympathetic, my rest and digest state, just completely chilling. And so these are the emotions I'm going to feel: joy, in the present, grounded, mindful, compassion, curiosity. I'm going to be open to new things. I'm going to have chemicals in my body like oxytocin, the love chemical. And so I'm going to be able to really bond, have loving communication in my eye contact, in my touch, in my body language. It's all going to come in lovingly. And this oxytocin that comes to your brain is what really builds connections. But then let's say while I'm reading that book, I'm watching my TV, my father comes in, or a parent comes in, or a sibling comes in. And basically what happens is my arousal increases. If it's the first time this has ever happened, maybe first time ever in my life, I've seen my dad come home from a really bad day at work, my family from a really bad day at work, and they start getting really angry, and so they start letting that emotional turmoil inside of them out onto you. And you're like 5 years old, you don't know how to process emotions, you don't understand what's happening. Your arousal increases, the amount of energy you're getting increases. And so what happens is you begin to go in this sympathetic nervous system state. Your body starts saying, oh shit, something bad is happening. We may die. Get ready for danger. This is not good. Whatever just happened is not good. Whatever is happening is not good. And especially from your parents, it activates a lot because these are your primary caregivers. If your primary caregivers are mad at you and they don't love you, and you're a child, how do you interpret that? Oh, my parent doesn't love me. And if my parent doesn't love me, what happens from there? She abandons me, I'm left alone, I can't take care of myself, I die. So parents getting mad at us, insulting us, shaming us, literally equates to I die, what they say is true, I'm this, because you're just a child. And so you activate this fight or flight to, get away from that, battle this aggression, this negative energy coming towards you. And so you start to feel things like anxiety, that's cortisol in your body. You start to get fear. You start to maybe even get irritated, angry, frustration. And so you may have a very quick temper. Loud noise or crying or dog barking just makes you so mad. And it's most likely because these loud sounds, these things that triggered you in your past, loud sounds, screaming, things like that, are now triggering you up here, and you let that out in your anger, your frustration, your rage. But something even more happens if that stress that is put upon you is now like consistently, and you can't take it anymore. Where you can't take it anymore, your body can't process what's going on, you actually begin to shut down. And this is because your mind is processing too much stress, too much negative energy onto it. It can't handle it anymore, and so it actually shuts down. And you go into a state of dissociation. In this state of dissociation, you feel numbness to the world around you. And this is what happens when you kind of lay on the ground and you pretend to be dead. In animals, this is what's happening to you in your body. And so you literally just may freeze like this and be stuck in your head and looking around. And you're physically there, but emotionally, you're completely disengaged. And so if you've gone from mindful to a complete state of numbness, basically emotionally. And at this stage, it's not like it just happens and then it goes away. It's not like it just happens and it's like, oh, I'm done forever. No. What happens is your body remembers it. Because the increase of cortisol, because of the increase in all this muscle tension, this energy that you're trapping inside, that you can't let go, that you can't express, because if you do express it, you get even more hurt. You're trapping this energy inside. It gets stuck in your body, it gets stuck in your muscles, in your nerves. And so even little triggers are going to let that all out. Sorry, I gotta sneeze. Okay. And if it's coming from school, maybe your work, parents, because you see these people every day without emotional closure to the situation at hand, to what you had just felt, you're going to have this lingering anxiety and hypervigilance to the source of that negative stimuli, the person who was doing it, and even distrust all other people together. If this was supposed to be someone that you were close with and they really, hurt your trust, or they're really not getting you, it actually disengages you from trusting anybody. And so now you take this mindset, because this kind of thing turns into a mindset, and then you take this mindset into every other day in your life that you're going about. And now in situations where people are maybe even nice to you, you may reject it as not feeling good enough or worthy enough, or reacting in anger or fear or not wanting it. Neutral interactions may also be seen as negative, just because the body is ready for everything that could be negative in case could be negative. So it's ready to prime its body. You're ready to get into this fight or flight, so you can take off or you can do something that will save you. So it's hyping up all this negative. It's looking for all of it. Where could it be? I have to protect myself. Where it could be. And in that process, you're sabotaging yourself, because you're not allowing yourself to be in this mindful, relaxed state of mind. You're always looking for negative. And all this fear of not expressing yourself, not being exposed to being hurt, by having to wear a mask of emotional numbness, the pain won't hurt, but expressing yourself will feel unnatural. And so if you don't express yourself, you can't get hurt. No one can be like, stop doing that, fucking idiot. No, I hate it when you do this. You can't. You're not doing anything. You're just being small, almost invisible like. But because of that, you also have a very hard time expressing yourself. Could be talking, feeling anxiety around others when you do want to talk. And so you just completely shut down, basically. You're just not that type of person who's putting themselves out there. And because of this may actually go back into more. Your parents may be like, why are you so quiet? Why don't you talk to me? Why don't you do this? Why don't you love me? When you're just like very scared to express yourself. And then guess what happens? The cycle increases, the cycle repeats, and you get this positive feedback loop that happens where you feel scared expressing yourself. The people around you get angry and sad and call it out for you not being able to express yourself. And because of that, you again go into a state of fight or flight, and the process repeats more and more. And this can go on for years. This can go on for a very long time. And all of it is something that we would call c-pstd, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And just like people who come back from war and they've seen horrific things and been through horrific things, they have shell shock. An explosion goes off next to them. Like, oh shit. Now anytime there's a loud sound, they may go into that state of mind, into that flashback, into seeing it. Well, almost the same with c-pstd. If a trigger happens, maybe someone that you don't even know starts to raise their voice, that could put you in a very high state of sympathetic nervous system activation, or even shut you down completely, because every other time you've heard someone loud, it ends in pain for you. And so your brain is getting ready. Your amygdala is already being like, hey, I've seen this before. When people get loud, people get hurt. When people get loud, I get hurt. And so I'm going to go away. And you may see these type of people in avoidance, where them expressing emotion feels so unnatural. It feels so painful to them that they just never do. And when it comes to relationships with others, that it's very difficult to do. And so if you want to flirt, if you want to talk to other people, make friends, well, it's going to be very difficult when you're always in a state of protecting yourself, self-preservation, negativity, and you're not in the present moment. You're not grounded. You're not in the state of oxytocin, loving these other people. You're in a state of cortisol. Your body's literally saying to yourself, stressful situation, which is not good if you just want to relax, right? And so, sorry if this tease again. And so, what type of coach would I be if I don't give you some type of way to help you or solve this problem? Well, the only way to do this, and there are some therapy sessions. There's things like somatic healing, CBT, which is cognitive and behavioral theory. So changing the way you think and changing the way that you act. And this is kind of the approach I use. The approach that is probably the best is mindfulness, and then going into scenarios, putting yourself into scenarios, or at least experiencing scenarios again, and acting differently, kind of like CBT, but thinking, okay, I have all of this in mind. I know that the feeling I'm getting from this random person or this random thing happening, or from my boss telling me something, or from my coworker telling me something, I understand that if I look back at my childhood, it was kind of stressful. I was in a state of anxiety, of uneasiness a lot of the time. There wasn't a lot of calm, relaxing things when it came to our conflicts. The compassion maybe wasn't there. Eye contact, lovingness wasn't all there. And so you need to be mindful of this and be mindful that, hey, my body is separate from my mind in a way. Now they're both connected, but I cannot control this initial reaction that my body has. When a loud slam happens, I cannot control my body immediately having years of flashback experience, years of past experiences that lead me to believe that loud sound means I'm going to get hurt. But what you can do after that initial bump, that initial adrenaline gets pumped through you through this HPA axis, this initial cortisol gets pumped through you, your muscles get tense, is be mindful and understand what the situation you are in is, why you may be feeling this, and is it to the degree that you should be. And then in that moment, you have to ask yourself, is this the type of person that I want to be and react with. And you have to give yourself grace too. If the situation is immensely difficult and you're like forcing yourself, no, I have to be okay, I have to be okay. Give yourself grace. If there's something you really, really can't do because the anxiety is too much, I personally recommend still doing it, but give yourself grace. And so me personally, I had a very hard time talking to everyone. The mindset was, people don't like me. I would be wasting their time talking to them. And what I needed to do was be mindful of my bad thoughts, understand that my bad thoughts were just coming from experiences in my childhood in which I was put down a lot, and then say to myself, well, I don't want to be a person, and I do believe I have value. And this belief, this change of mindset where I don't to I do, only comes genuinely with evidence. In my experience, only comes with evidence. And so you need evidence from the brain that says I do have value. And how does that happen? Social pinging. Just the way that, over here we relate certain things to other things, social pinging will allow our brain to be like, oh, it's okay to be this or that. And so in situations in which you want to do something or you feel very tense and you want to relax, you need to give your mind and body and brain evidence that when you do it, you'll be okay. When you do it, you'll be chilling. And so this may look like something like when someone's talking to you and you get this initial negative surge over your body, it's calming that down, saying, whew, why am I being so negative right now? Should I be as negative as I'm about to be? I don't think so. And every time I've had a negative reaction to something, but I've stopped, I've audited myself, and I've just been like, let me act positively and see what happens. Let me act like in the most positive way and see what happens. And then when I do that, what actually happens is the other person, and this is the social pinging, the other person gives me positive energy back. When I meet them with positive, they give me positive energy back. When I interpret something that's neutral as negative and hit them with negative energy back, well, that person's going to hit me with negative energy back, and it's not going to go well. And it's going to say, oh, I can't be this. But people don't even know that they're hitting other people with negative energy. So it's understanding why, where, understanding how you're giving negative energy, and then also understanding how you give positive energy. And positive energy is usually compassion. Like down here, it's compassion. It's being present to the moment, and it's also eye contact, body touch, proximity, body language, tone of voice. It's soft, it's warm. And so doing these things instead of being so distant and held off will give positive energy to other people. And if they're good people too, they're not super traumatized either, well, they'll give positive energy back. And even if they are, and you give negative energy, and they give negative energy back, you don't let that affect you, because negative energy shouldn't affect you from the person that you are today. You're your own person, you're an adult, and you should have the mindsets that, no, I am a good person, no matter what this person says. Now, obviously have some self-awareness, but deep down in your belief system, it should be, I am a good person, I will do the right thing, I believe I'm a good person. And so you don't let that negative energy define you, basically. And so you're mindful of it, and you act differently, kind of like CBT. But it's actually, the biggest thing is getting the response from that person, and getting that response to be good. If every time you're positive to another person, I'm going to act different, and they're just mean to you over and over again, your brain's going to be like, well, this isn't working. But what happens in real life is you're positive, and you usually get positive energy back. So I hope this could be any of use to you, enlighten you a little bit, increase your knowledge. If you want more help with this, links in the description to work with me one-on-one. So with that, guys, girls, I hope you enjoyed the video. Peace out.